This will be a fun cross-conference matchup as the Minnesota Vikings fly on down to Vegas. Hope to gamble a little bit, come away with some more money and a victory against the Las Vegas Raiders here. Both teams are coming off of a bye, and let's just quickly review where both teams are at in the playoff standings. The away team, the Vikings, are currently right now the sixth seed. They are 6-6, but there are four teams at 6-6, with the Packers who are the seventh seed as of right now in the playoffs, and then the Rams and Seahawks are both at 8-9. The Raiders are sitting at 5-7 and currently 13th in the AFC, behind a bunch of teams. The AFC wild card is just absolutely loaded, and both conference playoffs are going to be amazing. But both teams have had some amazing internal problems going on, whether it be injury related or coaching related, and they've kind of overcome a lot of that stuff to honestly be extremely competitive this year in a lot of games, especially to the Raiders with everything going on with Josh McDaniels. The team that they are now after the firing is nothing short of impressive. And then honestly, then the Vikings, you can say, are more impressive with the performances they've had. And I kind of want to throw it over to you here as well. I especially to Kevin O'Connell was non-committal to who the quarterback will be, but let's assume it might be Josh Dobbs. But what do you think of both of these teams so far, especially over these past couple of games? And what do you think each team has to do to be victorious?
I mean, I think it's been a roller coaster of a season for both these organizations, right? Starting out with the Minnesota Vikings coming out 1-4, winning, I believe, 5 straight, getting to 6-4 now. After the Kirk Cousins torn Achilles, then Josh Dobbs is traded for from Arizona. So now they're at 6-6, well within reach of the playoff hunt. They just need to win a few of these games here down the stretch. And then, I mean, the Las Vegas Raiders, they came in, completely overhauled this offense for the second season in a row. And Josh McDaniels comes out and gets fired. They're still well within the playoff hunt. One of the things that I do think with the Raiders, not to, I guess, lead away with who I might be picking, but I think that Josh McDaniels firing was a little overhyped, and like the domino effect of kind of what happened after, because I think you look, Josh McDaniels got fired after the Detroit game. I believe they lost 26-14. And then after that, they came out, they put up 30 on the Giants, 30-6. Then they beat the Jets 16-12. And then they lost to Miami 20-13. And then they lost to Kansas City 31-17. So that's 2-3 in their last 2 games. And their only 2 wins are against both the New York teams, who are well into the bottom half of the league in, I guess, team rankings. They're not good. So I think they might have had the advantage of beating up on a couple bad teams there. And so it's going to be interesting, I think, to see how this game plays out, because there's been so much change that I think it's hard to tell like where these organizations really are. Whereas if they had been this way from the beginning, I think we would have a really solid feeling kind of where they're at and where they're going. But since there's been so much change, it's definitely an interesting dynamic here in this matchup.
Yeah, I think the one thing too we could both say about both the teams, no matter what has been going on throughout this season, both internally with coaches firing or just injuries, neither of these teams can run the ball if their season depended on it. And both their seasons depend on being able to run the ball. And what's shocking too about it is the Raiders are the second worst running team. They haven't even cracked 1,000 yards yet. On the season so far. This is coming from the team who dominated. Like, that's the only reason that really kept them in game was Josh Jacobs' breakout season last year. And so Vikings on top of that too. I'm still skeptical of the overall of their offensive line just as a whole. And I think part of that then you can what confirms that for me is just the fact that they've only rushed for 1,100 rushing yards so far on the season. We could talk about how they moved on from Dalvin Cook, and Alexander Madison's just not the guy. Absolutely. I can agree with those things. But even then, though, too, we see these teams who have good running seasons with subpar running backs, but it's all thanks and all due to the offensive line, and I don't think either of these teams' offensive lines are really that great. Which, and also too, I think you combine that with the quarterback play as well. It's going to kind of come down to just which of their outside skill position players are going to be able to make the most plays. And you're going to have Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, who's had a good season so far, all things considered, with who's been playing quarterback. I think Aiden O'Connell's been doing fine, all things considered, with the situation that he's been put in. And then now you're Justin Jefferson. This should be the first game that he is back in after coming off IR with his hamstring injury. And Josh Dobbs had a really good connection with Jordan Addison and TJ Hawkinson as well. He did not have a good game the last time we saw him, which was against the Chicago Bears on Monday Night Football before their bye in Week 12. So I'm curious if Dobbs does play, what his connection is going to be like with Justin Jefferson. If Jefferson is going to be on a pitch count, I think that those are going to be some things to watch. But I can agree with you as well that it was maybe a little bit overhyped. Like, come out, beat the Giants. Okay, that's great. Nearly everybody has. Then you beat the Jets. Okay, most people should have. The Falcons just beat the Jets. But then I'm curious then too, during this win streak as well, for the
Vikings.
Where the Vikings beat the Bears, beat the 49ers without Trent Williams, Deebo Samuel. I don't think Christian McCaffrey played that game either. Then they beat the Packers, who this is before they kind of went on that stretch. They beat the Falcons as well, and then they beat the Saints. It can make an argument that wasn't the most impressive winning streak, even though beating the Niners, I think, at home was a big one, but they did have some injuries. So the Vikings winning streak was definitely more impressive, but I'm curious if it was going to be if it was a little bit overblown. Also, the two Kirk Cousins were playing for half those games as well. So it's going to be a phenomenal game. December football with kind of these types of games, these purely wild card based teams are always fun because they're just fighting for their lives. They're trying to just play one more game, trying to just keep all these games meaningful. Let's get into our predictions here. But before we do that, if you have not already, like, subscribe, and ring that bell to get notified whenever we create new content. Right tonight, we have a fun last goal of the season, which is to get to 2,333 subscribers. Reason why we chose that odd number is if we hit that number, we would have gotten 2,000 subscribers within this calendar year, from January 1st at 333 all the way to December 1st at 2,333. All thanks to you guys. We love growing our community and chatting with you guys. So like, subscribe, help us reach our goal. And Ryan, who do you have winning this game and why?
So I'm going to go with the Minnesota Vikings. I just think you look at the sum of their last few performances. They put up 24, 31, 27, 20, and then they had the lackluster performance on Monday Night Football, but that's against a division opponent. Somebody who sees them all the time. And if I believe the Bears have kind of had their number a little bit over the last few years. And so I think it's going to be really interesting to kind of watch this game play out because I think the Raiders are a complete wild card as well. They've put up 14, 30, 16, 13, 17. And I think they're just consistently scoring in those like high teens. Whereas I think the Vikings are just going to be able to put up more points than the Raiders in this one. Also, the Vikings, I can't believe I'm saying this, the Vikings have the better defense in this matchup. Just with how bad the Vikings defense was last year, Brian Flores has done a fantastic job. I believe they're like 11th in passing defense and then like 17th in rushing defense in yards allowed per game. So that's really impressive for, I think, just the overall personnel that is on this defense for Brian Flores to be able to get that type of performance out. And I think they're going to get after Aiden O'Connell and make him really uncomfortable in this matchup.
Yeah, the Vikings defense, I think, has been improved a lot. I think I just look at one statistic to me that really stands out, and that's just their blitz percentage. They're, according to Pro Football Reference, blitz 47.6% of the time, which is just an absurd number. I mean, so if a team goes for it on fourth down, 2 of the times in that 4-down possession, the Vikings are going to be sending at least 5 guys, if not more, which is just kind of absurd. But to be honest, though, to your point, I think that personnel just isn't particularly that great overall. So he had to be creative, and it's like, all right, we're just going to send more guys and you can block. So when it comes to my prediction, I'm actually going to go with the Raiders here. They have lost their last 2 games, but if you look at it, they got off to a really hot start against Kansas City Chiefs and actually were able to stymie them for about the first quarter and a half, the first half of the game. But then the Chiefs became the Chiefs and did Chiefs things. And I think their offensive line picked up. They were able to run the ball better. Patrick Mahomes also did Patrick Mahomes things. And I have a feeling, I just don't know if I trust Josh Dobbs and this offense yet if that situation happens, if they get down 2 touchdowns. They can go and put up points. I'm not saying that they can't, but it's still Patrick Mahomes versus them. And then even the week before that, they went toe-to-toe with the Miami Dolphins down in Miami, held that explosive offense to just 20 points, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I think there is some good grit within this defense, even though they haven't had the best overall season so far. So them being at home, coming off a bye, I'm going to go with the Raiders in this one. Also, too, I'm 8 games behind you, so I need to try and pick up some games here against us in our season-long competition. So either way, though, we just did this game, and then we just did the Broncos-Chargers game. Both these games, very unique, 6-6 teams, 5-7 teams, with everything on the line. If you lose this game, it's going to be absolutely detrimental to their playoff chances. While the winning team, even if it's the Raiders, they go to 5-7, or sorry, if they go to 6-7, it just feels like, okay, we can do it. We can get to 10 wins, and if you get to 10 wins, it's really going to help your chances to make the playoffs.
Yeah. So another super close matchup here. I'm very excited for this one. I did not think I'd be saying that about these 2 teams at this point, but it's gonna be really fun to watch. Let's go ahead and wrap this up. We actually disagree on this one. I'm taking the Vikings. You're taking the Raiders. So go ahead, leave a comment down below on who you think is going to come out ahead in this matchup. Will it be the Vikings? Will it be the Raiders? While you're down there, go ahead and smash that subscribe button. Tyler and I, we have a unique goal of getting to 2,333 subscribers, which would put us at 2,000 subscribers within the calendar year. So if you could help us reach that goal, we would be very appreciative. Other than that, we will see you guys next time.